समयने प्लॅटफॉर्म क्रमांक.
We've all heard of the Mumbai local, the lifeline of the city. It's in Bollywood's titles, iconic scenes, even love stories. Strangers become train friends. Navratri sees platforms transform into a sea of yellow or green. The vada pav stall outside your station knows your order by heart. But here is the bigger question. Why is Mumbai the only city with a train service this legendary? Where are Delhi's? Where is Bangalore? I'm Lavanya, and this is the Climate Brief, where we break down the biggest stories about how our cities move, breathe, and survive climate change. This is part 3 of our public transport series, where we've looked at metros, buses, and now India's most iconic ride, the Suburban Railway. So can Suburban Rail still save India's transport future? If you want to understand Mumbai, start with the trains. Launched in 1853, this was Asia's first railway line, and nearly 175 years later, it still carries the city on its back. How big are we talking? 3 main lines: Western, Central, and Harbour. 450 plus kilometers of track, 3,200 plus trains every day, 7.5 million passengers daily. That is more than the population of Hong Kong. And during rush hour, a train pulls in every 3 to 5 minutes. These trains don't just serve the island city. They stitch the entire region together, from Thane and Kalyan in the north to Vasai and Navi Mumbai in the west and east. And yet, fares remain absurdly low. 5 rupees for a short trip, 30 rupees for 70 kilometers. That is why locals call it the Great Equalizer. Lawyers, engineers, businessmen, dabbawala, students, vendors, everyone piles into the same coaches. And here's the thing, it's surprisingly digital savvy for a system this old. Ticket vending machines have been around for years, but now you can skip ticket queues entirely with the UTS mobile app. Or check live train timings, platform numbers, even chat with fellow commuters on M Indicator, the unofficial WhatsApp of Mumbai's trains. But the biggest value Mumbai's local adds is what the city values most: time. Mumbai believes time is money. It's a city that's always rushing, and the local is what allows one to do that. You can get from Thane to CST in fast local in 40 minutes. The same distance during peak morning traffic could take you anything between 2 to 3 hours on the road. But this lifeline is also bursting at the seams. A 12-coach train is built for around 1,200 people, but during peak hours, it carries over 5,500. That's about 5 times the design limit. That crush load leads to heartbreaking accidents. At least 7 people lose their lives on Mumbai's railway tracks every day, and at least one of them falls from a moving train, according to government railway police data. Now, let's head north to Delhi. Most people don't even know this, but Delhi does have a suburban railway. If Mumbai's locals are legendary, Delhi's suburban rail is almost invisible. It exists barely, looping quietly around the city since 1975. It is called the Delhi Ring Railway. 35 kilometers of track circling the city with 21 stations, plus radial lines reaching Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, Sonipat, and other adjoining areas of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. On paper, it should have been a game changer. Daily ridership, just about 3,700 passengers. That's not even 1% of Delhi's commuters. A rounding error compared to the Delhi Metro's 46 lakh passengers daily. Why did Delhi's locals fall off the map? The trains here share tracks with long-distance express services, so suburban trains don't get priority. Delays of 30 minutes, even an hour, are common. Stations are isolated, they're hard to access, and have very poor last-mile connectivity. And when the Delhi Metro arrived in 2002, clean, reliable, high frequency, the ring railway just faded. Yet, for those who ride it, the suburban train is still a lifeline. A full circle journey costs just 12 rupees. Compare that to 40 to 60 rupees for a similar metro trip. Yet, commuters still prefer the metro. Why? Because price isn't the only thing that matters, reliability does. Then there's Bengaluru, India's tech capital, a city built on startups but still stuck in traffic and still waiting for its suburban railway project for more than 30 years. The idea of a suburban railway here isn't new. It was first proposed back in 1983, but for decades, nothing happened. Plans were made, shelved, revived, shelved again. Finally, in 2019, the Bengaluru Suburban Rail Project, or BSRP, was approved. Construction began in 2022, and if all goes to plan, by 2027, the city will finally have its own local trains. The scale? About 149 kilometers across 4 corridors, with 64 stations connecting Whitefield, Devanhalli near the airport, Kengeri, and Chikkabanawara. Unlike Mumbai's century-old system, Bengaluru's is being designed for the present and the future. Air-conditioned coaches, automatic doors, modern signaling, and crucially, integration with Namma metro and bus hubs, so people can switch modes seamlessly. For a city where 2-hour commutes are normal, this could be transformative, cutting travel times to 30 or 40 minutes. But until then, Bengaluru waits, watching its suburban dream rise, track by track, above its endless traffic jams. 3 cities, 3 completely different stories, one overflowing, one forgotten, one still waiting to begin. And that leaves us with one big question. Do we even need suburban rail anymore if metros are already here? Quick thing before we jump in. About 90% of you who watch this channel haven't hit subscribe yet. If you're into stories like this, how our cities move, breathe, and survive climate change, this is the best way to not miss the next episode. So hit that subscribe button. Alright, so metros versus suburban rail. Are they rivals, or do we actually need both? The short answer is yes, we need both. Because metros and suburban rail aren't competitors, they are teammates. Metros are designed for intra-city travel. Short hops, stations every 1 to 2 kilometers, quick acceleration, frequent stops, air-conditioned coaches. Suburban rail? It's about the wider region. Longer hauls, fewer stops, massive capacity. It connects satellite towns, Thane, Kalyan, Palwal, to the city core. And cost? There's no contest. A Mumbai local can take you 70 kilometers for 30 rupees. A metro over the same distance would cost several times more, if and when it does become operational. See, here's the thing. India's cities aren't just dense. Their suburbs are exploding. Gurgaon, Navi Mumbai, Whitefield, entire economies run on daily migration. Metros can't handle that alone. Their reach stops at city limits. But suburban trains? They are built to absorb those massive daily inflows and prevent highways from choking. And then there's the climate angle. Road transport already accounts for nearly 90% of India's transport emissions. Every person shifted from a car or a bike to a suburban train is a huge win for air quality and carbon cuts, especially over 30, 50, 80 kilometers. Mumbai's locals alone prevent lakhs of tons of carbon dioxide emissions every year. Now imagine if Delhi's or Bengaluru's systems were just as robust. Cleaner air, quicker commutes, cities you can actually breathe in. Mumbai showed us what's possible. Delhi forgot. Bengaluru might just get a second chance. So the question isn't whether India needs suburban rail, it's whether we can afford to ignore it any longer. This was part 3 of our public transport series. Next week, we wrap it up with a summary across the 3, metros, buses and trains, and what they look like together with the last mile connectivity. If you enjoyed this episode and want to catch the rest of the series, consider subscribing to The Climate Brief. We break down how our cities move, breathe, and survive climate change, one story at a time.